Hello, I'm John Joe. Welcome to Lime War. Today we have Clutchi versus Akamisc, and to be fair, when they started this match, they blacked out like this entire area. That's why we're 4 minutes in. They just kept choosing the same location. They were pretty determined to start next to each other. And right now, we have Akamisc going pretty much all in on barracks right now. He's still got some cash left over though. There is some there. He's getting a factory set up, so he is trying to diversify his army. And on this side of things, Clutchi is going for a bit of a tank rush with a couple of barracks to help him expand later. And he's getting that energy well set up straight away so that he's got energy to fund his little attack. There we go. So we have a bit of a difference. Oh, it wasn't 4 barracks. Actually, there's a factory there and a factory there. So we kind of have a very similar start from each player. Except for one person requiring energy instead of another barracks. So they both wanted this location because it's pretty much right in the center. So if you can cut off your enemy's supply on the territories, you can end up with a better potential for eco later on. They started right next to each other still, somehow. And Clutchi is pretty much just trying to check out the area to see where Akamisc is. He hasn't seen him yet, but Akamisc sees him. So AKA does have a bit of an advantage in the site here. And for land-wise, not too sure. I think Clutchi has the better half if he can control it. But AKA is definitely going straight over there, so I don't necessarily think it's too much to worry about when it comes to territory. As long as you know what you're doing, don't start directly in the corner and trap yourself or on a tiny island. If you have a plan in a certain area, I think that's the best thing to do, is always have a plan. At this point, they're just expanding. AKA is going on an attack. He's got quite a good group of units here that could take out the individual there for free, pretty much. And Clutch is just trying to group his units together just over here so that they have a better chance against the enemy here. And it is still going to be 5 against 4 if they decide to engage, but AKA brings in artillery that Clutchi could just about see there. And I don't think he's willing to risk the engagement. However, Clutchi is going to send his tanks down towards the bottom over here. They're on a move command. They're not wasting too much energy by using haste. But they are going to be moving towards the bottom. And they're going to try and come from this direction where, to be fair, AKA is expanding to and has quite good sight over there. At the minute, I think AKA just wanted to push Clutchi away from this area so that he could control it, and it looks like that's what he did, and I think that's more valuable than trying to kill any units on the field. He is trying to set up a line command here in the forest and the mountains. Mountains give you a bit of a defense buff, and the riflemen do better in the forest. One person has strayed off over there, which is strange because he should have been on a blue command, so he shouldn't have walked off over there. I think it was because there was more than 7 units there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There is 7. So I don't think he should have run off. Over here, the tanks have been spotted by Akamisc, and I don't know if he has actually reacted to that yet. Most of the artillery are going up from this way towards the top of Clutchi. They're not too worried about these tanks, but they are going to struggle over these mountains. Tanks move incredibly slow over mountainous areas. And AKA opted for a similar strategy, bringing certain units down this way, which are the commandos. So that was his plan. He's going to try and block off Clutchi here and use his commandos to go in through the back. From Clutchi's point of view, his tanks are getting through there. Can't see what else is going on there, but he's going to switch that to a flag command, which is the tanks now trying to take it. And actually, no, he's changed it to an orange arrow command. He's just trying to sort out his lines there to make sure they're doing what he wants. Over here, we could move this blue line a bit further in to take out that individual unit, as they're fighting one-on-one, and there's a lot of units here. There we go, he's just done that. He'll probably move it back as soon as this guy goes down. There we go. I'm assuming he's going to push backwards with it, because there's too many artillery there to take out with 7 riflemen. Or they're infantry in this. I think they should be called riflemen, because commandos are technically infantry as well. You know what I mean? But I think they should call these guys riflemen, or, I don't know, peacekeepers, something. I don't know. And but yeah, you can change the rifleman to, well, change the infantry to rifleman, and commandos can be just infantry typed. I don't know. Anyway, we've got another group of tanks moving in over here, facing off against mostly riflemen. I'm going to call them riflemen either way, so I don't get confused. And we have fortifications being set up in the forest here. I think he's doing that just for extra defense. Also, I don't think Clutchi can see that because that isn't a stealthy area. Oh, he's got enough units there, he can pretty much see through. But he's expecting to hold this line for quite a long time, so he doesn't want to push through this area. He's just going to wait until Clutchi makes mistakes and then probably take an advantage when he can. So his main objective is to hold that area and take as much of the north as he can, which Clutchi is trying to break through as well. This is going to be a pretty big fight for territory. And now we have some tanks breaking through those infantry units down there. And they're coming up through this section here. And I think they're on strike commands because they are directly heading towards that barracks. Yep. The only problem with tanks is they don't have that much vision, so they can't see what else is going on. We do have this barracks being targeted, and it will probably go down to this. But he can't see everything in this area, which is really important. And it's also good to know that if your enemy does this to you, that they can't see that as well. Those tanks are running away as they've got the hit in. They don't know where else to go, so they're just going to move off into the forest here. The defences are being set up quite nicely. You've got infantry on the front, artillery just behind them. And those tanks are being chased by infantry, and the infantry are actually managing to keep up and take out one of those tanks. Being in the forest, that infantry was still shooting him, but the tank can't see him. So it's not shooting back, and that's because they're in the forest, which is giving them a bit of stealth. But they won't be able to chase invisible for long anyway. They come out of that forest. But nonetheless, that tank is getting a good scout off around him over there and at the back of AKA's base. AKA can see that tank quite visibly, and it is taking land all behind him there as well, so he's soon to catch up to Clutchi. I mean, I don't actually know who's behind in the economy. We have 600 from Akamisc. Clutchi has 524, so AKA is ahead of Clutchi when it comes to economy, and I think that was pretty much the move to take over this territory and block it off, was allowing AKA to just get through there a bit quicker. Clutchi is trying to get in there now and take over some land instead, which is good because he's going to take over this area and have control there, as long as he can hold it. And these tanks over here are just going to try and push through this infantry, and that's going to be great because it's going to stop the expansion of AKA. And they'll be able to get into the back of these fortifications if they want to. I mean, they'll have to come this way or go over this area in a slow manner because that is mountains. And I watched a game recently where the mountains actually did change sort of like how the tanks were used, and unfortunately the tanks didn't do that great, and it looks like Clutchi is going to push through right now. AKA can see what is going to happen, so he's bringing his units back, taking them off this defense line right now. Trying to reorganize his units for a better strategy. That tank did go down in the end, and there's an infantry soldier that took him out. And the infantry are trying to tank the damage here as a meat shield for the artillery to just be able to fire over the top of them. But these infantry are going to cut up through this way, and are probably going to be able to take out all of these artillery here. And these tanks may as well even move into the mountains over there. I don't know if he can see them. Yeah, he can. They'll be sending these tanks towards these SAM units now and letting these infantry deal with whatever else is here. We have two guys just shooting each other over here. They kind of look like that boxing match robot things. Expect one of their heads to like fly up in a minute. But we now have the artillery are going down. The infantry are going to get taken out. He's bringing the tanks in this way to join forces here, and then they're going to push through up this way. The AKA has a bit of a problem now. It looks like the enemies broke through that defensive line there and has done it with fairly minimal losses. Down in the bottom over here, they broke through defenses there that I didn't spot were being built. So Clutchi is on a full-on proper assault now to try and take the territory from Akamisc, and might be able to actually get his economy to switch places with AKA, because he was a bit behind. So we got 560, and it's probably going up now, so 690, which isn't bad. However, he's definitely on the defense right now, which means he might be losing territory if Clutchi decides to start taking it. He's more concerned about trying to take control of the area rather than to capture the territories. There he goes, bringing his reinforcements up this way. He's reorganizing his units, and he's sending his tanks over the top of his main infantry units. He's trying to keep them enough away from the artillery over there. But he is focused on what's going on down here as well. He's got a few infantry straying in, but there is a group at the front, and they are taking out infantry, anything that they see. And I think AKA is streaming his units in. Over here he's only got one, but he is reorganizing it. He's retreating some units. Or he's trying to, but it looks like one is ignoring him because it's on this command, I think, so it's still focused on orange. Up here we got the units facing off, sort of waiting for each other to decide what to do, and the commandos are coming in to try and deal with these tanks. I think they're going to do a lot of damage there. They're probably actually quite a good counter for that. And Clutch is trying to escape with his tanks. He sees the commando groups trying to, well, slowly unveiling themselves. Those commandos are going to be really good at trying to take out these infantry as well. But there's quite a few there, and I think they'll outnumber them. And it looks like he's just trying to rush in over the top of this force here, trying to force AKA to react to his tanks with this force here, so his infantry can come in and start taking them out as they move. And he's holding off his forces down here as a group there. Right. Our battle's going on over here. He's got another force coming through in this section to try and make sure he has control over this area, which it looks like he actually did lose some of the control there. He's only got 3 units left that were in there, so he's got quite a big force going on there. He's got some tanks moving out. Some of the artillery have moved down this way to try and deal with these tanks as they go by. And Clutchi is forced to set up extra circle commands so that his units are taking a circular position around the enemy, which will be quite advantageous when it comes to moving his units through in that position. It looks like AKA's had enough a little bit. He's sending his units up forward. They are getting quite close to each other now, and those tanks managed to take out a structure. Down here we've got some units. It looks like AKA is preparing to have a battle there with them soon enough. And one of those tanks did go down because they kind of went the wrong way. They went straight towards those artillery. I don't know if that was to let the other two escape. Either way, this looks like a bit of a tense fight right now. It's more of a Cold War going on, where it's just like facing off with each other and not sure what's going on. And Clutch is just putting his units there to show his strength of power, trying to make sure Akamisc doesn't move out of his control there. He spotted an exploit here, or not an exploit, like an area to go into. An exposed area, that was the word I was looking for. And he's going to try and sneak some units around there. It's not going to be that sneaky though, because I think AKA can spot exactly what's going on here. But I think he's just trying to make these units move in some way so that he can take advantage of them. So he's going to come in through that section. Over here we have a force that AKA is trying to deal with, which is mostly, well, quite a few artillery, and there is a bit of a meat shield which is stopping the units from advancing. But AKA is going to try and push forward now against those artillery. Clutchi is trying to send out some units to take away some land from AKA down in the south there. The main force is moving forward here. I don't know if Clutch is doing that on purpose or whether they've just got grown in numbers a bit too much, and it looks like, yeah, that is the case. He's trying to build up even more numbers over here. The tanks have come in to join with these infantry at the back of this base, and they are going to probably take out these factories for free if AKA doesn't move. But if he moves, these units are going to push through forward, and it's going to make it harder for this force here to actually become effective. That factory does go down. We've got the artillery here being overrun, well, trying to be overrun by AKA's army. I'm not sure who's going to win that. I think the infantry will. Down in this section, there is a lot of units expanding, but AKA is pushing forward to take out one of the groups. And the artillery has been split off into groups over here, and one group was sent off to deal with this units here, which now Clutchi has seen this. He's moving his units in to try and take over this area, as the units have spread out so much. They might be able to take him out before they can group together again and set up their formation, which is very good timing and well timed with the positioning of his units to try and get him into the right place to make sure the enemy's was out of place when he attacked. Over here, the infantry did win the engagement, and this area was lost by Clutchi. This area was lost by Clutchi. Here, I think. Actually, no, I'm wrong. Clutchi's actually pushed through there. I knew he had these units down here, but I thought AKA won that bit. Over here, though, it looks like Clutchi has quite a lot of units coming in through here, but unfortunately, he's not getting through the infantry quick enough over here, and I think he still will overrun this area, but there's a lot of artillery that's going to kill the infantry really quickly. The main objective needs to be to destroy these structures in the end, but these artillery coming in at the side are actually going to get some free shots off on these artillery and be able to push through in that way a bit better, so we need to make sure that Clutchi just tries to keep his units coming in this way to protect these artillery. And we have a lot of units down here that could be trying to sneak in through the top, but they are just trying to take economy away from AKA. So either way, these are fighting for the long run. The battle going on over here is to try and win it for the short run. And there isn't too much else going on. There's a few barracks dotted around, quite a lot of barracks actually, and these guys are going to try and come in through this section to take on Clutchi. And AKA is just trying to focus on defending in this area, which I think he's managed to keep under control. With the amount of artillery that he's got there, I think that should be fine. At this point, the amount of infantry he's got streaming into this area is more of just a delay tactic to make sure the artillery there just stays still. But I don't think the infantry he had there, well, the infantry attack that he did there went as planned. But it was still quite a good strategy anyway. We've got some tanks on the back of the base over here as well. So these tanks could actually come out and take these production structures. I don't think they can see it. No, they can't. They don't know what's going on in that mountain over there. Over here, though, AK is trying to set up a defensive fortifications on the mountains in this choke point there. And Clutchi is on the retreat once again. There's a lot of artillery trying to push him back. But we do have a fair amount of production from Clutchi, and after that attack I want to see who's winning with economy. Clutchi's on 800 and AKA is on 940, so he didn't grow too much, but he has still managed to grow his numbers. I think that was him keeping control of this area while still claiming some territory in that section as well. I'm not sure if he's still trying to claim territories over here. He is, so that also does account for that. And Clutchi's main advantage there was taking over this bottom section here, where he's managed to get a lot of territories really quickly. And those tanks are dangerously close to those barracks production over there. I think Clutchi could switch, I was just about to say, into air. We've just spotted it. So yeah, he's got some air units now. Or he's going to get some. I'm not sure what he plans to do with those. Might be strikers or helis. I'd probably choose helis myself. But I know AK's got some anti-air already. I think the best counter to the infantry is definitely artillery. Especially when you've got these choke points to control, and when you've got so many infantry to go against, you definitely want to keep control over these choke points. That way you can just keep on killing them for quite a long time. But if the enemy does use so many infantry, you just want the artillery to just, you know, keep them back. And once you've got the enemy held back, you can use, I don't know, spend your cash on something else like the air units to try and go over the top of them. That's how I deal with my own tactics, because I use infantry quite a lot. But we do have the artillery moving out into this section. And Clutchi can see this. He's just trying to pull his units back to make sure that they don't stray off and go towards the enemy. But some still are, and that's because they're attached to this line. As they come in, they're going to go straight to that. So he's taken it away, he's moved it back, he's setting up these commands to try and draw his units back. Because they're orange commands, they're going to still advance towards the enemy. And now that they're blue commands, there isn't enough of them. And they're still moving forward. So it looks like those artillery are going to be moving forward quite rapidly. And I'm not sure what Clutch is going to do with that. I think he's just, to be fair, I think AKA is going to defend again. But he might be trying to push through because that's not fortifications there. And we do have a few units trying to sneak in through the bottom over that way. Just spotted that Clutchy has a barracks over here. He's got two, actually. And when I got a barracks down this way, I'd probably just set them up as commandos, because then they can be right on the enemy's back end to do some specific damage. Clutchy's on the move again. He's going straight into these fortifications here. He's got the infantry on the front line. When you got the fortifications set up, I'd probably just send the artillery in first. But to be fair, when it's AKA, he'd probably take advantage of that, because he's usually quick on that. So I don't know, I'd probably send in the artillery and just keep the infantry around them. But there is a lot of commandos there, so you can't exactly see what you're up against completely. We're trying to get these infantry to come back, but I think they're attaching themselves to this command here. Or at least that one was. So these artillery are just still there on their own now, and they're doing alright, to be fair, but I think as soon as AKA spots this, he can take away the units off this defense and send them straight forward towards the artillery there, and there's nothing Clutchy could really do about that right now. He's still trying to send his infantry to them, but I think without having these units already on the front line move forward, they're not going to go in fast enough. Over here, AKA is trying to get rid of Clutchy from this area and trying to make sure he's got control of this area to put Clutchy, you know, sort of trap him over here. So he's only got this sort of area to deal with. And that gives AKA the potential to advance all the way over to this area and have complete control over the majority of the map. And looks like that's what he's done. He's taken off the units from this defense point and he's sending them forward to go deal with those artillery. And the artillery are going to struggle to move in the mountains. They are going to be slowed down, but not too much. Whereas the infantry, I think, will get slower because it's in enemy territory. So the artillery will have the advantage here. If they keep moving back and firing forward, I think that would do great for them. Over in this section, it looks like the engagement's moving forward, the frontline force. And we have two main battles going on right now. I don't think anything's going on over here too much. We just have infantry moving forward. And we have a large-scale artillery assault here. I don't think these infantry are going to get through at all. Some of them might. But I just don't think they're going to get through fast enough. There's quite a lot of units and they're going to stream in. We do have some strikers moving in now, which they do seem quite exposed to strikers. On this side, Clutchy definitely has the advantage. At this point, he's got his meat shield back in there, and he's got the artillery running up behind him. And the strikers are going to start taking out some units over here, but there's definitely a lot more artillery on AKA's side of this than there is on Clutch's. Those strikers are going to try and move in, attack on their way in, but they're going to stop the reinforcements from coming in, which is going to be great for Clutchy. But he's not going to be able to keep him there long enough, and he doesn't have as many strikers as he needs, but he's also got another force down here to deal with, which is going to be a problem. But he is trying to take over this area again, but the infantry have gone back behind the fortifications, and Clutchy is going to be trying to deal with that, but the artillery are going to be trying to still fire there, but they're going to have reduced damage because of that fortifications. and being in the mountains, which is giving them an advantage there. The infantry rushing over is going to do the best they can, but they are pretty much just going to be a meat shield for the enemy, but there's no artillery there, so it's more just stopping the enemy from moving. AKA's artillery are moving forward once again. They're trying to get in, they're getting close to these production structures. Down here though, AKA is in the base. So Clutchi is completely exposed from the south now. He's maybe losing this middle fight over here, and he's definitely keeping good control over the north section there. Those strikers are doing what they can in the middle to try and make sure he can control the middle as well. He can deal with the south a little bit later, but that is going to be problematic if they get in there and start taking out the production from behind. We'll have a look at AKA's side of things. And I would like to quickly take a look at his economy, which is 1,200 at this point, and Clutchi has been pushed back quite a lot, so he's been stuck at about 700 for quite a while. So he's nearly half, and he's still able to deal with this quite well. Unfortunately not completely, but considering the lack of eco he's had, he's doing as best he can. Strikers are still trying to move out and take out as much as they can. They've got the artillery pushing in, but I think the free damage from the strikers just isn't enough to outweigh the amount of artillery that's on the field here. But it looks like Clutchi is going to be able to push through in this section. But I think the weakness is coming in from the south with these units sneaking in through here. We've got the commandos advancing further ahead, especially targeting this airfield over here. And Clutchi can see the commandos sneaking in through there as well. And I think when that airfield goes down, it's pretty much over for this middle section here. As the SAM roll in as well, so even if they stayed up there, the SAM's going to be a problem for those strikers to come in anymore. And when you have control of an area like this, I would probably just try and advance through and take advantage before the enemy can react to this. Especially when you've got two fronts of battles already. You can always take the territory over after. So over here, Clutchi has won that engagement, but the infantry are still going to stop them from advancing anywhere. Over here, Clutchi completely lost, and down here, so the end of the game has been reached. AKA has won. Thank you for watching. There are 2 videos on screen right now. Feel free to let me know how you think of these videos, and I'll see you around with another video.